You know how we're constantly being sold these get-rich-quick schemes, these life hacks that promise the world overnight? Well, what if the real secret to success isn't a secret at all? Today, we are diving deep into the powerful, no-nonsense principles from Darren Hardy's amazing book, The Compound Effect.
Right out of the gate, the author, Darren Hardy, hits you with this. He says this because he's just done with all the noise and the hype. He's here to give it to us straight, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this breakdown. So, where do we even begin? Well, we start by tackling what Hardy calls the success lie. This is the idea we're all sold, that massive, life-changing results come from some kind of magic bullet or a secret you just haven't heard yet. And this really lays it all out, the fantasy versus the cold, hard reality. On one side, you've got the lie, the promise of that secret formula, the quick fix, the overnight success story. But Hardy's truth? It's much simpler, and frankly, a lot harder. It's about discipline, it's about consistency, and it's about the daily grind. The tough news is, there really are no shortcuts.
Yeah, and Hardy is just brutally honest about this. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He makes it crystal clear that achieving real, lasting success isn't some glamorous party. Nope, it's a grind. It's laborious, it's tedious, and let's be real, sometimes it's just plain boring.
Okay, so if the quick fixes are the lie, then what's the truth? This is where the compound effect comes into play. You can think of it as the antidote to all that hype. It's the fundamental principle that actually drives real-world results.
So what is it exactly? It's actually really simple, but it's incredibly profound. The compound effect is this idea that your small, seemingly insignificant daily choices will compound over time and lead to massive, massive results. It's not about taking giant leaps. It's all about the tiny steps taken every single day. And who better to drive this point home than Tony Robbins, who actually wrote the foreword to the book? He just nails it here. Every little choice, what you decide to eat, that person you call, the 10 pages you read, every single one is steering you toward a specific destination. So the real question is, are you the one doing the steering, or are you just headed for disaster by default? And this brings us to the engine that powers this entire process, consistency. I mean, without it, the compound effect just doesn't work. It's the difference between just dabbling in something and actually achieving mastery. To really show you what this looks like, Hardy shares this super personal story. His whole understanding of discipline wasn't something he learned at a seminar. Oh no, it was drilled into him from a very young age by his father, who was his first and by far his toughest coach. His father's philosophy was completely non-negotiable. Wake up was at 6 a.m. every day. Excuses, not a thing. You didn't miss school or practice unless you were puking, bleeding, or, and this is a direct quote from his dad's football coaching days, showing bone. Now that is an extreme level of discipline, but it perfectly illustrates this mindset of relentless consistency. And this is exactly why Hardy sees himself as the tortoise in that classic fable. He knows he's not necessarily the fastest or the smartest person in any room, but he will always bet on himself to win in the long run. Why? Because he has turned positive habits and unwavering consistency into his superpowers. But here's where we need a crucial shift in our thinking. The compound effect isn't just some nice self-help tip. Hardy argues it's a fundamental law, like gravity. It is the operating system that is constantly running in the background of your life, whether you pay attention to it or not. He actually calls his book The Operator's Manual. It's designed to teach you how to finally take control of this system, how to master it, and make it work for you to get what you really want out of life. But you have to remember, this system is neutral. It doesn't have an opinion, it doesn't judge, it will compound a bad habit just as reliably as it will a good one. It's always, always working. So the question you've got to ask yourself is it working for you or is it working against you? Okay, so what do we do with all of this? This brings us to the final, and maybe the most powerful idea that puts everything into perspective, what he calls the 2-millimeter shift. It's a totally fair question, right? I mean, how can one extra phone call or skipping one dessert really matter that much in the grand scheme of things? The immediate results, you can barely even see them. And this final quote from Tony Robbins gives us the perfect answer. Think of your life like a long-distance flight. If you make a tiny 2-millimeter shift in your trajectory right at takeoff, you'd never even notice it. But over thousands of miles, that tiny shift can land you in a completely different country. Well, those small choices you make every day, those are your 2-millimeter shifts. They don't feel like a big deal today, but over a lifetime, they determine your entire destiny. The only question left is, where are your daily choices taking you?